I love productivity. I love planning. I love a good system, a good planner, a clean list, a clear next step, and anything that helps life feel a little less scattered. This is also part of the work I naturally do with people. Help them get clearer, organize their thoughts, make better decisions, and turn all the mental noise into something practical they can actually act on. So I'm not anti productivity. I am not anti planning, clearly. But lately, I keep coming back to this question: what good is productivity if your life feels small? Because there is a version of productivity that looks very responsible from the outside. You are busy, you are booked, you are answering messages, you are taking care of clients, you are managing the household, you are staying on top of your calendar, you are doing all the things you are supposed to do. But underneath that, you may still feel tired, scattered, lonely, disconnected, or like your life is full but not necessarily fulfilling. And that is the part I think we need to talk about more. Because being productive is not the same as being well. Being busy is not the same as building. And having a full calendar does not automatically mean you are living a full life. That is what I want to talk about today. I used to think productivity was mostly about getting more done. Plan better, use the system, have a clear strategy, clear the list, stay organized. And again, I still care about those things. I love a good planner. I love a good system. I love anything that helps me feel less scattered and more in control of my life. But now I care just as much about the deeper question: what is all this effort supporting? Because you can have the planner, you can have the schedule, you can have the color coding, you can have the strategy, you can have the perfect task list. You can have the business, the clients, the responsibilities, and the full life on paper. But if none of it is helping you move toward a life that feels more honest, more capable, more free, more sustainable, and more alive, then what are we actually optimizing for? I think a lot of capable people accidentally use productivity as a way to keep functioning without asking the harder question: is this the life I actually want to keep building? We get very good at managing the day, but we avoid looking at the direction. We organize the tasks, but we do not always question whether those tasks belong to the life we actually want. We keep ourselves busy, and busy can feel safe. I know, I've done it. Busy gives us proof that we are trying. Busy gives us a reason not to make the bigger decision. Busy gives us something to point to when we feel behind. But busy is not the same as building, and that distinction has been hitting me hard because I do not want to just be efficient at surviving my current life. I want to build a bigger one. For me, that means asking different questions, not just what do I need to get done today, but what is this helping me build? What am I avoiding? What would make my life feel bigger 6 months from now? What would I be relieved I finally started? What am I over managing because I'm afraid to choose? And where am I using productivity to stay in motion but not necessarily move forward? That is where planning becomes powerful. A planner is not magic. A system is not magic. A checklist is not magic. But they can become tools for telling the truth. They can show what you say matters, but never schedule. They can show you the gap between the life you say you want and the life your calendar is actually building. But it can also be freeing because once you see the pattern, you can start making different decisions. Maybe productivity is not about doing more. Maybe it is about making room for what matters, that your bigger goals are not floating around in the background forever. Maybe it is about reducing friction so you can actually follow through. Maybe it is about creating enough steadiness in your ordinary life that you still have energy left for the parts of life that make you feel alive. That is the kind of productivity I care about now. Not productivity for the sake of proving I am disciplined, not productivity so I can cram more obligations into my day, not productivity so I can feel guilty in a more organized way. Productivity in service of a bigger life. That is the shift. And I think that is why so many planning systems eventually stop working. It is not always because the planner is wrong. Sometimes it is because the planner is only managing the surface. The real issue is direction. The real issue is decision. The real issue is self respect. And the real issue is sustainability. The real issue is that we keep building systems around a life we may have outgrown. And this matters for professionals too. Because when you're good at functioning, people often assume you are fine. You can be successful and still stretch too thin. You can be capable and still lonely. You can have clients and still feel unclear about where your life is going. You can be the person everyone relies on and still wonder when you are going to get to build something that feels like yours. That is why I think planning and productivity need to include the whole person, not just the work, not just the tasks, not just the calendar, but your energy, your health, your relationships, your home, your nervous system, your future, your creativity, and your sense of possibility. Because a system that helps you get more done but leaves you depleted is not really working. A planner that helps you manage everyone else's priorities but never your own is not really serving you. A schedule that makes you look successful but keeps you disconnected from yourself is not the end goal. The goal is not just to be more productive. The goal is to become more intentional. So now when I plan, I'm trying to ask, is this helping me live more clearly? Is this helping me make better decisions? Is this helping me follow through? Is this helping me become more free? Is this helping me protect my energy? Is this helping me build a life that actually feels like mine? And if the answer is no, then maybe the problem is not that I need a better productivity hack. Maybe I need a braver decision. Maybe I need a different boundary. Maybe I need a clearer priority. Maybe I need to stop managing the same old loop and admit I want something different. That is not always easy, but I think it is honest. And I think that is where the real work starts. So if you're feeling productive but still stuck, maybe do not start by buying another planner or downloading another app. Start by asking, productive for what? What is all this effort supporting? What are you trying to build? What keeps getting pushed to someday? And what part of your life keeps getting managed but not actually changed? And where could one small system help you stop spinning and start moving towards something bigger? Because getting things done is useful, but building the right life matters more. That is what I'm trying to remember. Better decisions, practical systems, intentional action, and a bigger life, not just a busier one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.